Donald Trump declared a significant victory in foreign policy by resolving a dispute with Colombia over migrant repatriation flights. The crisis began when Colombian President Gustavo Petro blocked U.S. military flights carrying undocumented migrants, disrupting one of Trump's key campaign promises, the mass deportation of individuals illegally present in the United States. Seizing the opportunity to demonstrate strength, Trump quickly implemented coercive measures, including emergency tariffs on Colombian goods, visa revocations for officials, and a travel ban for Colombian citizens. This hardline approach forced a swift resolution. After hours of intense negotiations, Colombia agreed to resume accepting deportation flights, including those on U.S. military aircraft. Trump's administration viewed this outcome as proof of the effectiveness of his aggressive strategies. The White House emphasized that such measures signaled a newfound respect for America on the global stage, showcasing Trump's ability to assert dominance in the Western Hemisphere. The victory underscored the Trump administration's reliance on coercive diplomacy. Tariff threats, traditionally used in trade disputes, were employed as a broader tool to intimidate and extract concessions from foreign nations. By confronting a long-standing ally like Colombia, Trump sent a strong message to other nations in Latin America about the potential consequences of opposing U.S. policies on immigration. While the resolution of the Colombia dispute demonstrated the immediate effectiveness of Trump's tactics, it also highlighted potential risks. The aggressive use of tariffs and hard power could strain alliances and provoke long-term global disruption. Nevertheless, the administration hailed the agreement as a triumph, reinforcing its commitment to protecting U.S. sovereignty and setting a precedent for dealing with future challenges in a similar manner. This approach marked a pivotal shift in how the United States wielded its power on the international stage. The diplomatic crisis between the United States and Colombia began when Colombian President Gustavo Petro made the bold decision to block U.S. military flights carrying undocumented migrants from landing in Colombia. This move disrupted one of President Donald Trump's key initiatives, the mass deportation of individuals illegally residing in the United States. Petro's resistance not only defied U.S. expectations, but also placed him in direct confrontation with a powerful ally. President Petro's actions were interpreted as a challenge to U.S. dominance in the region. His decision appeared rooted in a broader dissatisfaction with the existing trade and diplomatic relationship between the two nations, as well as a desire to assert Colombia's sovereignty. Petro publicly criticized Trump on social media, suggesting that the U.S. president viewed Colombia and its people as inferior. His defiance was a calculated attempt to position himself as a defender of Latin American dignity against perceived U.S. coercion. Trump's response was immediate and severe. The U.S. president announced emergency tariffs of 25% on Colombian goods, warning they would escalate to 50% within a week if the issue remained unresolved. Additional measures included revoking visas for Colombian officials and imposing a travel ban on Colombian citizens. These actions were designed to pressure Colombia into compliance, while signaling to other nations in the region the costs of opposing U.S. immigration policies. The high-stakes standoff highlighted the growing tensions between the two nations and underscored the risks of Trump's hardline approach. While Petro aimed to project strength domestically and regionally, the economic consequences of U.S. tariffs threatened to harm Colombia's economy. This initial resistance from Colombia set the stage for a rapid escalation and an eventual concession, further emphasizing the power imbalance in the relationship. The standoff between the United States and Colombia over migrant deportation flights reached a swift resolution after a day of high-pressure diplomacy. Colombian President Gustavo Petro initially blocked U.S. military flights carrying undocumented migrants, leading to a crisis that threatened economic and diplomatic ties between the two nations. In response, President Donald Trump employed aggressive tactics, including imposing emergency tariffs on Colombian goods, revoking visas for Colombian officials, and implementing a travel ban on Colombian citizens. Facing escalating pressure, Colombia agreed to accept deportation flights, including those conducted on U.S. military aircraft. This decision marked a significant retreat by Colombia and a clear demonstration of the effectiveness of Trump's coercive foreign policy. The White House hailed the agreement as a victory, emphasizing that it underscored America's ability to assert its influence and secure compliance from other nations. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt declared, "Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again, reinforcing the administration's narrative of re-established U.S. dominance." The resolution highlighted the Trump administration's use of tariffs and hard power, not just as tools for trade disputes, but as broader instruments of foreign policy. By leveraging Colombia's economic reliance on the United States, Trump successfully forced a concession, while sending a strong message to other Latin American countries about the costs of resistance. The outcome was a calculated move to showcase the administration's commitment to its immigration policies and to bolster Trump's image as a leader who could achieve results through decisive action. However, this approach also carried risks. Critics warned that such tactics could strain long-term alliances and alienate key regional partners, potentially creating opportunities for rivals like China to expand their influence. Despite these concerns, the resolution was presented as a triumph of U.S. power and Trump's aggressive leadership style. Donald Trump's aggressive approach to foreign policy, highlighted during the dispute with Colombia over migrant deportation flights, has sparked significant global concern. While the resolution of the crisis was touted as a victory for U.S. dominance, it also exposed the potential long-term consequences of such coercive tactics on international relationships. Trump's reliance on tariffs, visa restrictions, and travel bans to pressure Colombia into compliance was a clear demonstration of hard power. While effective in the short term, this strategy raised alarms about the potential erosion of trust among U.S. allies. Nations in Latin America and beyond may view the U.S. as an unpredictable partner, more inclined to wield economic and political leverage than engage in collaborative diplomacy. Colombia, a longtime U.S. ally, had its sovereignty challenged, setting a precedent that could deter cooperation from other countries. The fallout from this incident also drew attention from global competitors like China. As the United States exerted its dominance in the Western Hemisphere, China saw an opportunity to strengthen its influence in the region. By investing in Latin America and presenting itself as an alternative to U.S. economic pressures, China could exploit the alienation caused by Trump's tactics to gain a strategic foothold in Washington's backyard. Furthermore, the heavy-handed approach risked destabilizing the region. Economic threats like the proposed 50% tariffs on Colombian goods could have severe consequences for Colombia's economy, potentially triggering broader regional instability. Critics warned that such actions could lead to resentment among Latin American nations, fostering anti-U.S. sentiment and weakening regional partnerships critical to addressing shared challenges like immigration and trade. While Trump's methods underscored his administration's commitment to asserting U.S. power, they also highlighted the risks of alienating allies and emboldening global rivals, creating a more uncertain and fragmented international landscape. The Trump administration's approach to immigration enforcement took a dramatic turn with the launch of mass deportation operations across U.S. cities, marking a new era of aggressive policy implementation. Central to this initiative was a nationwide deportation blitz, designed to fulfill one of Donald Trump's most prominent campaign promises: the removal of undocumented immigrants from the country. Chicago became a focal point for this enforcement strategy, with nearly 1,000 individuals arrested in a single day. This operation, described as a game-changer by White House border czar Tom Homan, involved a multi-agency approach that combined the resources of various government departments to target and apprehend undocumented migrants. According to Homan, the operation was emblematic of President Trump's all-encompassing commitment to immigration control. "President Trump has put all of government on this issue," he declared, signaling the administration's readiness to employ every available tool to achieve its goals. The nationwide raids were designed not only to enforce immigration laws, but also to send a clear message to undocumented communities and foreign governments about the seriousness of U.S. immigration policy under Trump. Donald Trump's presidency brought with it a series of bold and controversial governance tactics, particularly evident in his handling of immigration and international disputes. A notable instance was the firing of over a dozen watchdog officials in key government agencies, without providing the legally required 30-day notice to Congress. These inspectors general, tasked with reporting waste, fraud, and abuse, were abruptly dismissed as part of Trump's efforts to reshape the federal government. While supporters argued this allowed the president to align the government with his vision, critics, including Democrats and some Republicans, condemned the move as unethical and potentially illegal. Senator Lindsey Graham acknowledged Trump's authority to install his own personnel, but noted the president should have followed proper procedures. This episode highlighted broader political dynamics under Trump's leadership. His presidency was marked by rapid action on campaign promises, showcasing a transformational approach. Trump focused on reshaping federal structures to prioritize issues like immigration enforcement, as seen in his aggressive deportation operations. However, these efforts brought challenges, including balancing his hardline policies with economic realities. For instance, while immigration crackdowns appealed to his base, concerns grew about alienating swing voters concerned with tangible economic issues, such as rising living costs. Trump's dispute with Colombia over deportation flights further exemplified this balancing act. The threat of tariffs up to 50% on Colombian goods posed risks of a trade war that could disrupt the U.S. economy. Coffee, a major Colombian export, became a focal point of concern, as prolonged tariffs could raise already high grocery prices for American consumers. These controversial tactics and economic risks underscored Trump's willingness to use unprecedented measures to achieve his goals. However, they also revealed the potential cost of such an approach, both domestically and on the global stage, as alliances and economic stability were tested.